This is BBC News. I'm Geeta Guru-Murthy, live in Windsor. The headlines at 12. The UK and EU are set to hold final talks on a new Brexit agreement for Northern Ireland as the Prime Minister meets his European counterpart today. Ursula von der Leyen is due to meet King Charles later, but the European Commission say that her meeting is not part of the protocol talks.
I'm Chris Page, live in Belfast, where people are waiting to see if any new deal between London and Brussels could pave the way for the return of devolved government in Northern Ireland.
And I'm Shaun Lowe with you from our studios in London with the other headlines at midday. As energy regulator Ofgem announces a new price cap, there are fresh calls for the government to stop energy bill rises in April. Within the last half hour, it's been announced that Baroness Boothroyd, Betty Boothroyd as she was, the first woman Speaker of the House of Commons, has died at the age of 93.
Hello and welcome to BBC News. We are live in Windsor, where we're expecting the Prime Minister and European Commission head Ursula von der Leyen to meet here today in a very short space of time. We're told that Rishi Sunak is due to arrive, we expect, in around 45 minutes, and Ursula von der Leyen will arrive about 45 minutes after that at around 1:30. I understand they're going to have something of a working lunch, final discussions on that agreement. Obviously lots of speculation that it is already signed off given the choreography of today and the theatre that the Prime Minister and the European leadership are trying to project here about a big political win. Of course, a lot is riding on what is announced, the detail will be poured over and the judgment will come from the DUP and from the Tory Brexit factions to see whether they are prepared to back the changes. The changes come because of the huge dissatisfaction, the problems that were left as a result of the initial deal that was signed off and agreed, of course, by Boris Johnson and all the political fallout of that. In terms of what's going to be happening today, we know that after the meeting here, there's going to be a press conference just a short distance away from here in Windsor. And then Ursula von der Leyen, rather controversially, is going to be meeting King Charles. We don't know any details of that. We expect, of course, given where we are, it might be in Windsor Castle. And there has been some controversy over that in the last couple of days because it looks as though to some critics, that the King, the royal family, are being dragged into very, very controversial political territory to try to give this a veneer of national approval, I suppose. And the statement from Buckingham Palace does seem to be very interesting, seems to be confirming that the King has been asked to do this meeting by the government. We'll bring you more on that and all the very latest soon. But first of all, let's just get into a bit of the detail about why we are all here. The question, of course, is what is the protocol and why it's important? Well, it was created after Brexit to try to avoid border controls between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, which is part of the EU. Northern Ireland must follow the rules of the EU single market. Keeping the rules aligned means there is no need for a border. The protocol requires goods sent from Britain into Northern Ireland to be checked on arrival to make sure that they meet EU regulations. And this effectively creates a customs border between Northern Ireland and Britain. Some unionists, including the DUP, object to this arrangement. And supporters of the protocol say that the alternative is a hard border with the Republic, which would, of course, increase political tensions in Northern Ireland. The UK does want to change the agreement so that fewer goods need to be checked. Let's get a little bit more detail on all of that with Chris Mason, our political editor.